what can be put into the Constitution can slip away from you very quickly. And the greatest example going on right now before our very eyes is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which they're just disappearing with a magic wand, as if it doesn't exist, even though it could not be clearer what it's stating. And so, they want to kick it to Congress. So it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025, to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody in civil war conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do their job and interpret what the great 14th Amendment means. And I'm glad that Sherilyn's creating her new center so we can bring that.
Well, hello there, partner. Go on and hang up your hat, grab yourself a whiskey, and pull up in the easy chair. We're coming off the range of 9 to 5s with a whole herd of news stories that we've been steaming over like a cow patty in the Texas heat. As they say, the chickens are finally coming home to roost. And we're here to ruffle some feathers and ensure accountability ain't just a concept, it's reality. It's that time where the day's drama casts its longest shadow. So let's light a candle to the chaos of current events, the whirlwind of politics, and the tangled webs of corruption that we find ourselves entwined by. It's time to ramble our way into the twilight. Welcome to Sunset Rants.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Sunset Rants. We go over some of the good, the bad, and the overlooked articles of the week to get you caught up at sunset. How you doing, Scrap? Uh-oh, we can't hear you.
I was doing just fine until that happened.
Sometimes that happens to us, but you know what? We just push on right through. Isn't that right?
We do it live.
All right.
I don't know how Goofy got in here, but bro, we just silly tonight.
Oh yeah, we are. We had one heck of a weekend, and we're coming in. We're coming in hot. I think we're coming in hot now. So, love you guys. Anyways, so tonight we're gonna go over the comments from Prison Mike on the presidential electors, and we're gonna go over the communism coming to a country near you. But before we get started, join our Discord. We can help your host choose the topics of the week. Link is in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to help Scrap and I take this show to the next level. Without further ado, let's get into the first segment. Well, you heard it. You heard it loud and clear. That's going to be their plan. Now, I don't know how well that's going to work out for them, but
how much different is that than what Trump was trying to do? Okay, take we're gonna take the left's argument about what Trump attempted by calling all of his people on January or during the election when they were doing all of the certifying and everything, and telling them, hey guys, the votes here, or the slates of electors there, or this, that, or the other. Tell me how this is any different by their standard.
Well, one of those went through a legal process, and the other one does not. As you sit on your and it's funny, I thought they went through this in the Supreme Court, and the main thing is that the Supreme Court said, Congress, you're supposed to deal with this part. We interpret the laws. and we're interpreting it the way that we feel is correct, not the way that you feel. That's their job. Their job is to interpret. Your job is to make it. So I think there was a misrepresentation of what Congress is supposed to do, because if you want to invoke Article 14, Section 3, then either you have to do that by impeachment or you have to do that by amendment. That's it. There's a reason why it's difficult to make changes and amendments, because they didn't want this to be a direct democracy, which we talked about this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Because direct democracy is a straight line to tyranny, and they did not want that. So you need a super majority in order to make those changes. But I don't know. It's like the Democrats are not following democratic processes now.
Democracy has left the Democrat Party.
Yeah, it has left the building, just like Elvis. I mean, I got a couple of examples for you. So, like, allowing their own constituents to vote for, who they want as president in the primaries. You change the number of SCOTUS seats because we all know that they would totally equally split the justices, right? And then you've got, changing the voting system in Pennsylvania, the last election, without legislation being passed, and proper immigration procedures. Like, I can just go on and on and on and on. And it's not that these systems aren't working. It's just that they're intentionally breaking them. Or just saying, you know what? I just don't want to follow it. Well, that's not going to end well.
No.
At least in our end.
The 14th Amendment on Section 3 reads as follows. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president, or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who, having previously taken an oath as member of Congress or as officer of the United States or as member of any state legislature or as an executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability.
Exactly. Take a look at this. This is Article 2, Section 1, Clause 8. Before he enter on the execution of his office, he shall take the following oath or affirmation. Quote, I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will do the best of my ability to preserve, protect, defend the Constitution of the United States. So, I mean...
So this applies to them as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
exactly.
If they decide that they're going to subvert what has been constitutionally ruled upon, codified constitutionally and then ruled upon as interpreted by the Supreme Court, and then they just say, forget the Supreme Court. All right, now you're outside the realm. I would argue that they are engaging in the insurrection. They're engaging in the treasonous act of saying, forget your laws, forget your Supreme Court, forget everything, because they don't have a respect for it anyway. They just want what they want, and they're pushing the ever-loving boundaries of everything right now. They've been doing it. That's how what's her name in Georgia got busted for her affair with her special counsel. They're pushing, and it's like, one day you're gonna have to give birth to something, lady. Come on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because it's just that they just don't follow their own rules of even contempt of Congress. Nonetheless, so why should we trust them to do the right thing on January 6th?
I think here the key difference too between the two parties, right? Between like the seat of the president and the seat in the congressman here is, the president never takes an oath to support. Trump is one of the few presidents that never took oath of office to support Constitution. Section 14, Section 3 cannot apply to him. President and VP do not swear to support. They swear to protect and defend.
That's their job.
Because they're enforcers of the law. Right? So the support role has to be support. It makes sense. They're making legislation. Right? So their legislation they make should support what already exists. However, they don't necessarily do that a lot. They undermine it. Whereas the president and the vice president swear to protect and defend.
Exactly. Yeah. And this person here, I mean, they speak on it pretty clearly. So let's take a look.
Following this indictment news, people on social media have been sharing their thoughts and theories on the case.
Abby Larico joins us now to verify if the former president is uniquely impacted by a specific section of the Constitution. Abby, good morning.
Hey, ladies, good morning to you both. Lots to talk about with everything that came down yesterday. Well, Article 2 of the Constitution lists only 3 qualifications for the presidency and does not ban someone from office for being charged with or convicted of a crime. But now the 14th Amendment is getting some attention for possibly prohibiting Donald Trump from becoming president again. So does it? Let's verify. Our sources are the 14th Amendment, Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts, and 2 constitutional law experts. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, casually known as the Insurrection Clause, gives Congress the power to ban public officials from holding office if they have engaged in insurrection or rebellion. Our legal experts lay out 3 points to keep in mind. First, Congress would need to find him guilty of engaging in an insurrection. Next, the Supreme Court would need
Impeachment and then removal.
to rule on whether the president classifies as an officer of the United States. That's because the 14th Amendment mentions state lawmakers and member of Congress, but not presidents. And in a 2010 Supreme Court case, Chief Justice John Roberts said that since presidents are elected, not appointed, they don't count as officers of the United States.
And that goes back to our point on immunity. We talked about this on a show a couple weeks ago, on presidential immunity. Like you have to have some types of protections in a position in which there's only one person. Okay. Because, the Supreme Court is a small group of people. So it's almost like an oligarch. I mean, really, honestly, it is, and then you have the democracy section, which is over in the House and Senate. So we have and then almost like a dictatorship in president, but
he's the police force. He's the head police force.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's not really a dictator. He's just the guy that says, okay, well, this is what the book says. Book him, Dano. Like, that's his job. He's the book him, Dano guy. And he gets to negotiate with foreign leaders.
Exactly. But within his column. All right. So I always wondered, I'm like, this one person's not going to have enough power to take over the entire country. They just don't. That's the reason why we have a first and what scrap?
Second Amendment.
There it is. It's the reason, specifically for that. So if he's not going to go outside those bounds, why is it that Congress is trying? It's almost like Congress is trying to be the overarching body here. Just because either one, they don't agree on who is running for office or going to be in office or elected to office, and also the rulings that they're getting. It's almost as if like they feel as if they are above, the 3-column system. And in order for that to work, there's going to have to be a silent 4th or maybe even 5th column in order to kind of push weight around, because the system is created so that they're all equal and no one can step on the toes of one or the other.
The only time that one or the other kind of overlap is when they step out of line of their office. Like, so the impeachment process, right? As soon as the president steps out of line, now Congress has authority to say, okay, you're done. And then once they're removed, then they can start to convict them. Okay, you've done high crimes and misdemeanors. And then, or courts, a lot of times, I think the Supreme Court has the marshals. If the Supreme Court rules, hey, go get this guy, they can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, but here's the other problem now is Congress, the Senate, the House, they have the Capitol Police.
Yeah.
And that is actually one of the scarier ones when it comes to policing and overlap. There is no reason why Capitol Police should be, we're getting a little bit off tech here, but this is kind of tangential and in the wheelhouse a little bit. There's no reason that you shouldn't be able to send a FOIA request and get information out of Capitol Police. So Pelosi, at the time of J6, since we're talking about all this stuff again, and all that, and insurrections and whatnot, she is basically in charge of all that, the Capitol Police. She's in charge of the security in the Capitol. And guess what they did is they put a whole bunch of little precinct stations around the country within capitals of the states. They started that after January 6th. They have now expanded basically an unimpeachable, unaccountable police force across the United States. And there was very little anything and anyone spoke of it. So they're out of line, honestly. That Capitol Police should be nowhere except the Capitol. And it should be underneath the direction of the president and his DOJ. So
exactly. All right, so let's move on to this is from Semaphore. There we go. So let's just kind of jump into why Donald Trump was not charged with insurrection by the DOJ. Okay, so this is from Semaphore. Why Jack Smith didn't charge Trump with inciting an insurrection?
Was he incompetent? Oh, wait, no, that was the other guy. That's the
Actually,
other guy.
I think he was completely competent, at least on this call. If there was one thing he did right, it was this one. So the news. Since former President Donald Trump was criminally indicted for the third time on Tuesday, legal experts had pored over the new revelations related to Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election, the 4 charges he's facing, and possible defenses. Special counsel Jack Smith charged Trump with conspiracy to defraud the U.S., conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. But what he didn't charge Trump with, indictment of an insurrection, can illustrate how Smith plans to present the unprecedented case. Now, the DOJ didn't charge him with it because of the D word. You know what that D word is, Scrap?
You're not the big D, but it's not Dallas?
Correct.
I don't know what it I don't know.
Discovery.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
Discovery is that one thing that goes both ways that they don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you go into Discovery, both parties have to sit down at the table and go, well, here's all of my arguments. Where's yours? Here's all my evidence. Where's yours? And you get all of it. And then you have hearings to determine, okay, what evidence are you actually going to be allowed to use?
Mm-hmm.
Because how that works is this. This is why if you watch any of these big court cases when they pop up and LawTubers are watching them, you'll come to find out that there'll always be moments within the back and forth where there's some piece of information that we all know out here in the media sphere, but the jury is not allowed to have because the two parties, the prosecution and the defense, have decided that, well, we're not going to go down that road because the other side has something that's a better play. So we're not going to do that. And so all those hearings to determine what evidence comes to trial is to even the playing field out. And the moment somebody cracks a lid on it in court, objection, sidebar, Your Honor, doors are open. We're coming at you with it. They did not want that. They didn't. And also in Discovery, even if it's evidence that wouldn't be very good in back and forth in court. It could just be stuff that they don't want public.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that goes public out of discovery where the cases never actually end up going too far. They just like, oh, I got discovery. Now I can publish it.
Exactly. Because think of the things that they'd be able to expose. The reasoning behind all the footage, the reports leading up to that day, all the documentation on agents in the crowd, that all is at play.
Yeah, Turtle saying here, Brady material also, prosecution has to provide all evidence that could exonerate the defendant. Defendant is entitled to a fair trial. State is not. State is not.
Exactly. So let's go to the insights here. So when the January 6th House Committee formally referred Trump for criminal charges last year, insurrection was one of those counts included. It would allege that Trump was directly involved in the storming of the Capitol on January 6th, which clearly he wasn't. But including that charge would have complicated the case and been harder to prove than broader conspiracy charges. Dennis Afrigut, a former federal prosecutor, writes in a Slate, quote, that narrowing increases the prospects for a pre-election trial. So this is what they were expecting, because the first thing is what do you mean harder to prove? I thought it was supposed to be beyond a reasonable doubt. So if you don't think as the DOJ that you're not going to get a trial beyond a reasonable doubt, then why would Congress pursue this knowing that it was going to be just as hard?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. One of the other reasons insurrection charge could be complicated, prosecutors would have to rely on Trump's speech that day of the riot to prove that he was encouraging a riot. All right. That kind of argument could face potentially tricky First Amendment issues. The First Amendment, that's easy to say, but when you're a public figure and you're running for president, or if you're going out of office, everything is going to be taken out of context via the media. So, but the thing is that Trump is known as like the ultimate troll. So he's going to say things that are going to get them hyped up, but he does it on purpose to show like
it's bait.
Yeah,
and they bite every time.
Every single time.
They bite every time.
Right.
I would love to see. I would love to see like a back and forth between Trump and 3-year Letterman. If you don't follow 3-year Letterman on Twitter or on X, you have to. It's one of our favorites. This guy. I'm not going to give it away. Just go find out. Mm-hmm. You might get a discount on your waterbed.
Exactly.
Allegedly.
Waterbed. What is this, the 80s? All right. So the charge of conspiracy against rights, a civil rights law that prohibits trying to deprive someone of their right to vote, can serve as more straightforward stand-in for an insurrection charge, which is rarely brought in court. The conspiracy charge, on the other hand, has been successfully tested. Just security. There's an outsized attention on a possible insurrection charge, in part because the Constitution's 14th Amendment bars anyone who engages in insurrection from holding office. In theory, a conviction would disqualify Trump from serving a second term in the White House. Yeah, but it doesn't. The insurrection clause was the clause that prevented the Confederates that participated in the Civil War from running from office. We're not in the Civil War, so it's very specific reason why that clause was set up.
Somebody gets the jokes.
Uh-oh.
Go follow One Cap Turtle too.
Oh, yeah. That's funny.
This guy. Yeah. They this is what was swirling in my head as you're reading that is, what has happened to the state reps and people that ran because in Colorado and in different states, they actually hit them with the 14th at the state level. Mm-hmm. In some cases, and said, no, you're not allowed to run because you attached yourself to MAGA, or you were in DC during January 6th, or you said something or tweeted something in support of Trump at the moment, at that time. And I would be really interested to do a follow up on that. We should have did that because that's the thing that happened at the state level until it reaches the Supreme Court, because a lot of stuff gets jammed up in district court. And by the time they jam, or even if they don't actually hit him with the 14th and disqualify him outright, they jam him up long enough that they don't actually get to run. And so, yeah, these this is telling when the guy that was ruled unconstitutionally appointed, illegitimate appointment as a special counsel, couldn't even get Trump on the insurrection. Look, let's just be honest. They haven't been able to get Trump on any of the pedo stuff that they tried to allege with all of the Epstein photos that were taken before he kicked that guy out of Mar-a-Lago. Okay, if any of that existed, we'd have known, because we all know what was on that island.
Right.
Lots of. Let's go.
Right. Now I want to go into this a little bit clearer. So, right here, the no person shall be senator, representative of Congress, or elector of president and vice president. Okay, so this part is important because who is the elector? Are they talking about U.S. citizens? Are they talking about
an elector of president and vice president? So they were elected. See, a lot of times this language, we're not used to the terminology. It's just president and vice president.
Yeah, we're getting some. If you look in the chat there, we're getting some things from Turtle here. This is from New Mexico. What is this about?
Yeah, Supreme Court refuses an appeal by former New Mexico official convicted in January 6th.
New Mexico banishes Trump ally from office for insurrection. So it says here, the New Mexico State District Court judge on Tuesday disqualified county commissioner and Cowboys for Trump co-founder Coy Griffin from holding public office engaging in insurrection at U.S. Capitol January 6, 2021. The judgment from the district court judge, Francis Matthew, permanently bars Griffin from the federal and local public office. It arrived amid a spate of lawsuits aimed at sidelining political candidates and elected officials linked to the Capitol riots. Griffin was previously convicted in federal court of misdemeanor for entering Capitol grounds on January 6th without going inside the building. He was sentenced to 14 days and given credit for time served. The new ruling immediately removes Griffin for his position of commissioner of the Otero County in southern New Mexico. He also is barred from serving as a presidential elector. Wow.
Okay, so
so that makes sense.
Our live fact checker in the back here. Electors are people that cast votes in the Electoral College. We, the people, vote for our state's electors. If you didn't know, you can actually elect your electors. You can do that. You can do that.
Now, I wonder, because it was a misdemeanor. They said that he never walked into the Capitol, but is it because he was just on the grounds or just in the crowd? I mean, that seems very vague to me.
I'm surprised that the Supreme Court just refused to hear it. Honestly, maybe they were piled up with other more pressing things, and they just said, "Nah."
I think so, because it's not even just that it's more pressing, but I don't think they're not gonna take a case unless it covers all the bases. Because there's no point in covering one part of something when there's 18 holes that you can blow right through it. So typically what they'll do is they'll punt. This is what they said during the 2020 election when Trump was trying to get into the Supreme Court. Like, I mean, how many times did he send something up there? Like, there wasn't enough time to gather as much information as they needed. On top of that, I think some of the states were stonewalling his attorneys, knowing that he only had a limited amount of time. So they didn't necessarily say we're dismissing the case. It's just that they pushed it back.
Yeah, they weren't. They were just like, and by there comes a certain point in time. It's like there's this catch-22 with latches and standing. where you end up in. This was one of the stuff they did in the state level when they were contesting the state level votes and whatnot. And that stuff can spill over to Supreme Court too. Like you're saying, if there isn't enough information there for the Supreme Court, like they make the lower courts do most of the work.
Right.
They're the court that says, well, this case has gone from this court to that court to this court to that appeal and back down and up and down and all the way around, and it's finally made it to us, and we have a stack of paper. And we have the distilled version of this, and we have all of the things, all the possible arguments. And is this, not only that, but is this actually a constitutional issue at the top level that is actually that important we need to rule on it? Or is it so important that we shouldn't even touch it?
Right.
Because that does happen too. They're like, nah, if we rule on this, the state, because then it takes it out of the state's hand. Then you lose 10th Amendment. It's done. That's Roe v. Wade. Whatever side of that fence you're on, that was 10th Amendment territory. Supreme Court took it from the states, and then they gave it back. So
there you go. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like Chevron deference. They did the same thing. They made the change back in the 80s. And then they sent it back because, enough time went by to where they realized that was a really bad idea.
Turtle makes another good point. Oh, wait. It got kicked up. There we go. No, not that one. This one. I don't know what I'm doing over here.
Oh, man. He's just touching buttons.
Where did it go?
Is it not?
Oh, it's not Turtle. It was Vash. This is the right one. Have you all thought about how the VP doesn't have to verify votes like what Pence should have did or something like that? You see, this is the thing, is they actually took that power away from the VP, didn't they? After Trump.
Is that what they did?
I think they nerfed that.
I'm not sure. I mean, back then there was a lot of other things going on that that I was paying
I'm pretty sure they nerfed that. Yeah, I'm getting confirmed on the back end here. Yes.
Okay, so this actually might be when you're talking about Prison Mike.
We need to explain the Prison Mike. If you haven't watched Office Space, that's that we're talking about. Jamie Ratskin, and we're not making fun of the fact that he had cancer. He just had a poor choice of headwear that drew more attention to himself than probably necessary. The guy looks good with a bald head, but it was just really funny. He decided he wanted to.
At least we know he's on the side of the Crips.
Got street cred.
He's got street cred. Let's go. All right. But anyways, I think we beat that with a dead horse. So let's move on to our
with a dead horse.
Yeah, with a dead horse. And let's go to our second segment, what I like to call "What Communism Looks Like." I made that up. All right. So there was an X story that went viral about the British police. And I don't know why my thing just disappeared, but I'm going to...
Is it more technical issues? Where's the gremlins at?
Yeah.
We're supposed to have leprechauns running the show, not gremlins.
Yeah, exactly. So this is British police, and this is from the Vigilant Fox, and says, British police, you've made some offensive comments in Facebook, and we're here to arrest you. After 3 young girls were brutally murdered, speech is the crime that police focused on. This is the type of ish and why Elon Musk believes civil war is inevitable. So let's go ahead and check this out. If you can kill the music for me.
Plan. And
20-3, 1440, arresting you on suspicion of improper use of the Electronic Communications Network. And just
what?
127 of the Communications Act, okay? So you do not have to say that it may harm your defence if you don't mention one question, something which you later are in court. Anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand that?
So I'm actually being
You're
arrested.
going to be arrested, okay?
Right.
So you got to the police station.
Right.
You, okay, this is in relation to some comments that you've made on a Facebook page. Okay?
Oh, really? Oh, it's a Facebook crime, is it?
Okay.
Right.
So we need to ask you some questions about that.
Right.
Have you got anything in your pockets?
Well, why don't you just ask me some questions right here?
I've got my keys. No, that's about it. I think keys.
So, anyone who's been arrested, we can search them under Section 32 and basically level attacked.
Right.
That's for dangerous items.
You said I was going to be arrested.
Who's
Yes.
the guy that was on Beetlejuice? Oh, the original Beetlejuice. Doesn't he kind of like? Oh, who was it? It was Lydia's father, right?
I think so. It's been a long time since I watched that one.
Exactly. How much longer we go? Okay, we got about
It's
20 seconds.
It's only 20 seconds.
All right.
And some more information. But I'm going to be arrested for posting on Facebook.
Some comments that are offensive, obscene, and people have made a complaint about that, and it's
And can you tell me what this comment was?
Okay, well, we'll do that when we interview.
All right. And so, what am I going to be locked up for the night, or?
Hopefully not. The times.
Yeah. So,
What kind of commie, crazy bullcrap is this? This is the UK. Aren't you glad we had an entire war to get away from all of them? Like they have
Right?
lost the plot.
yeah, and then they're putting on gloves. They're putting on gloves like, all right, now we're gonna need you to stand up, turn around, and bend over so that we can find these offensive comments. Like, like what exactly?
I'm about to make some more offensive comments if you touch me with those gloves.
Oh my god! But yeah, so if this hasn't happened to your country yet, please take notes. Because I don't even think she believes it.
Don't give up your guns.
Yeah,
don't give up your guns.
Give them up. I'm telling you. Oh, we're going to talk about that next. But yeah, this is literally it. So for his words, but yet if you look at what's going on in England right now, and especially in London, like things have gone like completely haywire.
It's upside down.
It's upside down. And where are the police? I've been looking at all these videos, and there are no police to be found.
None.
With everything that's going on. None.
Now, I'm going to preface what I'm about to say with, I don't know this. There's a guy named is it Tommy Robinson, I think was his name.
Mhm.
He was an activist, right? He's been accused of being like a far-right radical, white supremacy, all those things. And he's one of the people who's speaking loud and has been speaking loud about what's happening over there. Interesting thing is, I hear him say a lot about how, I saw some clips from an Australian outlet today where he was speaking publicly and he was like, look, we've got blacks, we got whites, we got Sikhs, we got all kinds of people, but there's a radical group of Islam that has not integrated. They've not assimilated into the rest of society here. And since he was a little kid, there's been a problem with certain groups of gangs out of that group of immigrants that have refused to assimilate, have allegedly been drugging and getting young girls of the main population on drugs so they can prostitute them out. And his sister is apparently one. And he goes into great detail about it. And I'm like, bro, if that's really that's going on, then I can understand setting fire to the streets a little bit. Like I'm not here to promote it. I'm not saying you should, but I can understand people's anger with that. I mean, we had one guy die by, in an arrest named George Floyd, and they set all kinds of things on fire here. The UK has decades of problems with just heinous things going unchecked by the police. The police are not doing anything. They would arrest, and for some reason, BLM even rioted over there for whatever reason. It's not even their. It was nothing to do with it. But the police didn't do anything about them. And now that you have 3 little girls that get stabbed, and then the police not do anything, and of course they run the pictures they run of these gang members are like when they're little kids. So it makes the protesters, which are like angry parents and angry family members, angry residents that have had to deal with this for so long, makes them look bad.
Mm-hmm.
And now the police want to crack down?
Yeah.
Now they
That's
want to
what's
crack
great.
down? Like, really? Why didn't you crack down on the crime, on the actual crime that's happening? You're the guys that have had these growing numbers of, like, no-go zones over there in Europe. You know, Tim Pool, early on in Tim Pool's YouTube channel, he went over, like, into Sweden and different places, and it was the same problem there. There's a group of people that they import, and they intentionally don't assimilate. They don't go in, they don't become a part of the rest of society. And it causes problems.
That's how
because
I'm sorry, just real quick. That's how you get those parts of Minnesota.
Yeah.
Where you get Ileana Omar.
Mm-hmm.
Like out
Or
of
they
nowhere.
changed their flag. Their flag is like Somali Light.
Literally.
It sounds like a bad beer I don't want to drink. That you might have it might be, I don't know, I'm not going to say that next thing.
Yeah, let's just
Beer jokes. Beer jokes.
We're going to keep this PG. Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, you know, and not just that, but when you don't assimilate, like, there's no way for anybody to understand kind of like what happens in their culture. Like when I went down to Central America, I knew I was going to see things that were different. Like there were people that, I mean, they were riding their bikes everywhere. The traffic is different. You know, like bikers, they just run in between. There's not really a speed limit. They have one, but nobody enforces it. You know, it's just they're just different. They just live life differently. You know, and sometimes it becomes a problem because there might be something that they're doing that might not seem proper, you know, to you, but to them, it's like, well, we've been doing this since the existence of our of our entire culture. So why is that a problem now? And that's why it's so important to assimilate so that those things don't happen.
Right.
You know,
Well, that's the thing is, you know, it's not about, this is the telling thing. Early on, when problems first arise, it's very easy for the media narrative to be a bunch of racists.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's not a lot of precedent. Down the road, when you've got 2 and 3, you know, we're probably going on 2 and 3 generations of immigration.
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes a population issue where now you have an unchecked population and you have other people who have immigrated. Because in this modern first world that we live since the 90s, me growing up, racism not an issue. Not that it didn't exist, it just wasn't an issue between myself and my peers, you know, and playing in bands and whatnot. You know, all the guys that are our age that are over there have experienced that same thing to some degree, more or less, you know, but there's this constant influx of people that haven't grown up in this culture, that have stayed isolated from our culture, from our first world, from our post-90s, post-Soviet era, post-Jim Crow era, right? Mm-hmm. Those people are still stuck in like what, the 1800s at the latest with their culture, or even earlier. They're bringing medieval level understanding about how things are, and they're just like, yeah, we're just going to do it like we always did it. We're going to bring the Middle East over here, and then, but you don't. What you have is now you have a multicultural section of people that are protesting it. An actual multicultural section of people that are protesting it, not just a bunch of white dudes that have been in England for generations. You have people that have come over, immigrated, had children, and their children grew up with all the Anglos, and they're together, they're hanging out. They're like, well, bro, like, I know your sister, man. Don't care what color I am or you are, I know your sister, and that's wrong. Like, that's the kind of thing that's happening now, and the police are having a hard time with it. But this is Europe. They've let it be this.
Exactly. All right.
I'm gonna stop ranting now.
No, that was your rant. So I put a scrap rant right there in the notes.
Done. Print.
All right. All right. So let's go ahead and close out the show with the section I like to call the Sunset Clause. And in this last segment, we're going to close out the show with a couple of articles with implications in Washington. So first up, we have an update on the White House cocaine scandal. and the inner workings of our favorite bodyguards, the Secret Service, with then champion director Kim Cheadle. All right, so let's see what we got here. All right, so this is from the New York Post. Secret Service says it disposed of cocaine found at the White House after a report of infighting and a DNA hit. So, the Secret Service said Monday it disposed of cocaine found last year at the White House, responding to a report of alleged infighting on its fate following a partial DNA match. The evidence from that investigation was disposed in accordance with its retention policies. Secret Service spokesman Anthony, Guglielmi?
Guglielmi.
Oh, Ooga booga.
It's a guy.
All right. Guglielmi did not state the specific retention policy, but broadly dismissed it as false allegations outlined by a trio of sources to Real Clear Politics, which reported that President Biden's then Secret Service Director, Kimberly Cheadle, wanted to destroy the cocaine but faced internal opposition. Cheadle was really pissed off when her request was rebuffed by subordinates, which cited protocols requiring that the evidence retained for 7 years, the publication reported. Two sources told the outlet that Cheadle or someone speaking in her direction called the agency's forensics division vault supervisor, Matt White, and asked him to dispose of the evidence because leadership wanted to close the case. Three sources connected to the Secret Service told Real Clear Politics that DNA had been recovered from the half-used dime bag, allowing for a partial hit in National Database of Drugs was found on July 2nd, 2023, 2 days after gathering with the Biden family. The Secret Service closed this investigation just 11 days after cocaine was found without interviewing any potential suspects, giving the impression that the agency wasn't interested in learning the facts behind the embarrassing incident. It is unclear when exactly the agency destroyed the small bag of cocaine, the loss in which likely set the owners back less than $100, or if there's any attempt to follow up on the alleged DNA partial match.
I wonder if the infighting was because there was some with all those denied requests for extra resources, somebody was going to try to get some resources from the evidence locker.
Cheadle. She could have totally used this to distract the committee 2 weeks ago,
bro. When you're short-staffed and working overtime, man, I'll bet I'd be some infighting and over that too. Wherever I've worked before, at my current job.
Have you heard the remake from Frozen? Do you want to do some blow, man?
No.
Do you want to do some yay?
I got, dude, it's this. But here's the deal: they got a hit. Haha. You see, somebody got a hit.
Oh
man,
but
and then then there was a fight that broke out because guess what? That hit probably matched somebody.
Mm-hmm.
That probably matched somebody.
Yes, it
if
did.
It's in a database, I bet it went real close to home. And then they freaked out and they decided, nah.
Yeah, I think some guy told me that Bunter Hayden was a name that they were talking about.
Say again?
Bunter Hayden was the name that came up.
Oh, yeah. You mean the son of the woman who was good friends with Cheadle and met her early on? Go
ahead.
This is the thing. It's a thing here. There's conflict of interest written all over this. We know that Hunter Biden is a drug addict of sorts, has a history of it. 2 days later, they clean out They clean out one of these little personal item lockers, and they find a dime bag that he forgot an entire $1,300 laptop at a repair shop. Okay, of course he's gonna forget this. Maybe he's doing this all on purpose just to tick people off. I hope so. I hope this is like his way of getting revenge of all the garbage he's had to put up with all of his family's involvement in politics and being pushed around. You know, that's what I hope. That's my secret little fantasy of, you know, catharsis. Anyway.
I mean, has anybody seen where Corn Pop is?
Right. We ain't seen him, nothing. Like, we don't know how he stays on his toes at all. But the conflict of interest is that Secret Service is in charge of all of this security here.
Mm-hmm.
They are in charge of protecting the president and the family of the president.
Mm-hmm.
And the director of the Secret Service has a personal relationship with the First Lady.
There you go. He was supposed to do a press conference, but he got bumped.
I don't care if I see Biden another day in my life. He can stay off. He can stay off the radar. They can keep him off the radar. Because at least if he's not on stage, they're not abusing an old man for, you know, maybe they're doing it somewhere else, but at least I don't have to see it.
Gotcha. All right, let's move on to breaking news. For the first time, Tim Walz and Kamala Harris affirmed their joint support for firearm registration checks, gun confiscation laws, and banning commonly owned firearms. Let's go ahead and kill the music.
Good luck. Good luck. You got the Bruin decision in your face.
Let's get it going.
So Tim is a hunter and a gun owner who believes, as the majority of gun owners do, that we need reasonable gun safety laws in America. So as governor, he expanded background checks and increased penalties for illegal firearm sales. And together, when we win in November, we are finally going to pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban. So, Tim.
So here's the thing. Assault weapon, is that even a real word used?
Yes, but no. So
but not in the context that it's normally used, right?
I can assault you with anything and becomes a weapon. Okay, I can go get a Furby and turn it into an assault weapon. Okay. I might assault the Furby first, but just saying. But that aside, no. What they're trying to say is that, oh, these are scary, scary black rifles. They're only for military and killing people. No. Okay, so fully automatic. The fully automatic weapons, those are technically assault weapons. Okay, so the SAW is a machine gun, squad automatic weapon, right? That kind of thing. That's an assault weapon, right? Okay, or like an M4, which is the fully automatic military version of Eugene Stoner's AR-15 platform, AR platform. We have semi-automatic. The AR, even if you get like an AR-15, and it stands for Armalite, not assault rifle. You know, come on, educate yourselves.
Well,
these are not.
You should get the AR-10 because it's it's 5 AR safer.
I'm getting the 20.
25. I'm getting the 50. I'm getting the AK-50.
AK-50. Let's go. Shout out to Brandon Herrera. That's some good stuff. It's a scaremonger term. That's all. People that don't know any better just say that don't know any better. And most people that don't shoot, you live in cities, like, you're always hearing gunfire, but people don't realize that those guys aren't out in the streets with assault rifles or even long rifles of any kind. They're in the street with Glocks with switches. Sometimes they have like a compact PDW or something if they're being really illegal about it, but like they're carrying stuff they can put in their pants pocket and that's about it.
No, it's so funny you mentioned the cities because this is one of my favorite stats of all time.
97% of all guns are in the red territory. 97% of all gun violence is in blue. I would believe it. I mean, this map looks...
Can we get this fact checked?
That would be cool if we get this fact checked, but I would believe it. the issue there is, also the overlap. Just look at the overlap where even if you look at that map, there's no reason that there's actually no blue states. There's that whole thing. There's no such thing as a blue state, just blue cities that rule the rest of their state, all those red counties everywhere. Where are the guns normally? They're out in the country or in rural America. They're in suburbs that are legally owned. Even in like places where it's wide open, basically, where you can carry wherever, the majority of people that have them, those guns are outside the city because you don't usually use them in the city. There's lots of police.
Mm-hmm.
Fairly safe, unless you go to certain neighborhoods. That's it. Sketchy gas stations, bad neighborhoods, and, getting caught on the side of the road at the wrong hour. Like, that's where all the bad guns are. Really. They're just scaremongers.
Yeah, who remembers this?
3,000 rounds a minute with the bump stock, according to Biden. Nah. The bump stocks are back on the menu, boys. Bump stocks and arm braces for AR pistols and that FRT, the forced reset triggers. All three of those are back on because it was ruled that all of those constitute semi-automatic. Or the brace rule is one that got vacated because they stepped out of line. But bump stocks and FRTs, semi-automatic weapon because of the definition of firearm and how and the definition of a semi-automatic firearm versus a fully automatic. Semi-automatic is one trigger pull, one round goes down the barrel. Fully automatic is you can hold that baby down and just hang on, and it'll empty a mag. So bump stocks don't do that. It literally just adds a spring to your shoulder so you can let the gun bounce against your finger. And that's basically how the FRTs work too, is you just add that little bit of pressure to the trigger and then a forced reset. The action of the gun forces the trigger to reset. And so if the pressure of your finger is in between the brake and the reset pressure, you just bounce that trigger just like you would with a bump stock, except it's a little more accurate. And it fires fast, but you'll wear your gun out faster. So, if you've got budget bottom barrel bargain bin, firearms, or it's completely 3D printed, good luck. Like,
exactly. But anyways, this has been our most watched episode yet. So thank you guys for watching us tonight. We're in the business of making sure that we get all those weird, wacky stories in between that get missed through all the rampage going on in the world. But we're glad to be your guys. And Scrap, you got any final thoughts?
I'm running at the mouth. I'm shutting the tap off.
You shut it off? Yeah, if you haven't noticed, he's the rant meister. And I'm just the cool, collected radio guy that has a podcast. But don't forget, we got us here. This week will be on Thursday, another episode of Sunset Rants. And then on Saturday, we've got our main show, Roma Nation, at 10 p.m. right back here on Rumble. Again, we do have a Discord in the link description below. All right. Please come and join us. If there's anything or any topics that we've missed that you would like us to cover, we have an entire section in there for all of our members to go ahead and throw headlines in, throw stories, breaking news, things like that. And believe it or not, a lot of the stuff that we covered today came from our members. So yeah. What you got?
Some of our friends we can shout out. Salty and Savage Show. What time do they do their show? They do it on Wednesdays, right?
I believe so.
I believe that Salty and Savage. We got Uncapped Turtle. Catch him on Twitter or X.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Scrapjaw.studio, or you can at Scrapjaw. And then who else we got? Summit Forgery is a buddy of ours. He's living in the woods selling D&D goods. Summit Forgery on Twitch and on Instagram. His workshops are on tomorrow on Wednesdays. Live, just sitting around painting stuff and hanging out. It's cool. Those are guys that I can think of right offhand. And our producer Treebeard.
Oh, Treebeard, the man, the myth, the legend. That guy is working hard for us. And then we've got Elizabeth213. She does a lot of our reaction videos, and then also, what do we got? The Quiet Part podcast with Chris Noski. So I think that should end it up. We got our show producer. He wants to jump up on stage real quick just to say hi. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going, lads and ladies?
Hey, we do have leprechauns running the back of the show.
I am.
Or were you that voice of God that was in my headset?
Always my child.
Yeah. So this is the guy that we've got running behind the scenes, making sure that everything's working out well.
Typical American. You outsource all your work to the poor European. You don't pay him anything.
Well, that's what we got you, bro.
Look, this train's going somewhere, and somebody's got to build the track.
Yep.
Yeah, we are.
Exactly.
That being said, lads and ladies, remember, everything you do to help us, every dollar, every moment of your time, we will return tenfold. Everything you give to us, we'll give back. That is our promise to you.
Oh, I thought you were going to go into some kind of Sarah McLachlan ASPCA. For every dollar you donate, you can feed a starving Irishman.
No, for every dollar you donate, you keep me in drink.
There you go.
Oh, man. You're bad, Scrap. You're bad.
I'm bad. I'm loose, dude. Let's go. Let's get out of here.
All right, we got to get out of here.
I'm sober. It's a travesty all around. All right.
Exactly. All right.
Well, with your help, we can fix all those things.
Yes, we can. So thank you very much, Beard. Scrap. It's been a pleasure. We will see you soon, and I hope you guys have a fantastic night. We'll see you on Thursday. Peace.